Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe, and it's Sunday, so we are doing breaches of the week. This week in data breaches, same as it ever was. But as always, I want to thank the people that sent me some of this information. That would be Tony Panicini, Edgar Gomez, John Streeter, and Stephen Helm. Guys, thank you very much. And everybody, please keep sending those tips my way. It really helps me out. And with that, let's talk about Jackson Health System, and this is an interesting one to start with because they just recently announced that the protected health information of more than 2,000 patients was accessed by an insider threat. Now, according to their press release on June 6th of this year, and I quote, Jackson became a victim of an employee who took advantage of his trusted position to access patient information inappropriately, end quote. Now, you know what it is, right? Names, birth dates, addresses, medical record numbers, clinical information, etc., etc. And Jackson Health said that this employee basically accessed this because he wanted to promote his personal healthcare business. Not a good look. So this is why you train, and here we are. Moving on. Let's do our mini segment almost right out of the gate, simply entitled, If You Just Spent Money on Cybersecurity, You Wouldn't Be Getting Sued, You Wouldn't Be Losing Your Reputation, and Lord knows I wouldn't be talking about you right now. And let's start with the St. Joseph Hospital and its owner, Covenant Health. Now, in a complaint filed this past Monday in Penobscot County Superior Court, Michael McLean says that he is suing on behalf of himself and others whose data was impacted by their breach in May. Covenant Health, for the record, owns St. Joseph Hospital, St. Mary's Health System, St. Andre Healthcare in Biddleford, and nursing homes in Lewiston and Bangor in the state of Maine. Now, they disconnected all of their data systems due to this incident in late May, and here we are. So heads up to you if you're a patient there. Moving on, let's head on down to Alabama and talk about the Birmingham-based addiction recovery firm Bradford Health Services. They just got hit with a federal class action over an 18-month-old cybersecurity breach, which patients were just notified about last month. Good luck, guys. Anyway, 95-page suit filed on June 11th in Alabama's Northern District is on behalf of FB. This is identified as a Birmingham resident who recently had treatment at Bradford in 2021, and also CW, a Florida resident who started at the beginning of 2022. The lawsuit alleges negligence, breach of contract, and violation of the Alabama Deceptive Trade Practices Act and is seeking damages. So heads up to you if basically you've used Bradford Health Services for your addiction recovery, and I do hope your addiction recovery is going well. Moving on, quick update on Marriott, because, well, when it's raining or it's sunny, Marriott's getting breached. Anyway, this one actually stems from litigation from their massive 2018 data breach. On June 3rd of this year, the Fourth Circuit Court essentially issued and published a decision reversing the district's court ruling and decertifying the claims against Marriott. In other words, they're getting off the hook for this one. At least that's what it looks like right now. We'll see what happens. But again, these are years and years and years in the making with these data breaches because they're sometimes so unbelievably massive, just like Marriott's was. And so those were your lawsuits of the week. If any of them just really spent money on cybersecurity, I wouldn't be talking about them. They wouldn't be losing their reputation. And Lord knows they wouldn't be paying out millions of dollars. Moving on. Let's talk about an app called Hetero. Now, that's not hetero as in heterosexual. That's head, Headero. Now, cybersecurity researchers have reported uncovering a massive MongoDB instance belonging to Hetero. This is a dating and hookup app, apparently, and the database contained more than 350,000 records of users, more than 3 million chat records, and more than 1 million chat room records as well. Exposed data is what you think it would be: names, email addresses, social login IDs, JWT tokens, profile pictures, device tokens, and because it's a hookup app, sexual preferences, STD status, and what's most worrying is GPS location of the user. So if you're using Hetero for all of your hookup needs, by all means, you definitely want to check in. Moving on. Let's talk about the Highland School District in the state of Ohio. They are notifying families of a data security incident. And according to the district-wide message sent this past Tuesday, the issue involved unauthorized access to the system the school uses for user registration. The platform provider, Final Forms, said that reused passwords were exposed in unrelated data breaches such as those involving PowerSchool, Chegg, and Yahoo, according to the district. Those credentials were then the same that were used by the account owner of Final Forms. And people, this is exactly why you go ahead and you make every password different. You don't reuse your passwords. This is exactly it. Moving on. One group in the state of New York, or One Group NY. Anywho, they filed a notice with Vermont after discovering an email account had been compromised, and One Group NY explains the incident resulted in an unauthorized party being able to access information, specifically compensation information, of corporate clients, and one of them was Memic Indemnity. Now, basically, One Group NY is also sending out letters to those impacted, but heads up, Memic Indemnity as well as One Group NY. Moving on, update on Nationwide Recovery Services, or NRS. They're in the news because everybody's declaring breaches, and this past week was Ruffalo Hooper and Associates MDPA. So, doctor's office. Here we go. Nationwide Recovery Service. I'll see you next week. Moving on, Texas Digestive Specialists. They reportedly became a target of a ransomware attack by the criminal gang Interlock. Now, that group added Texas Digestive Specialists to their dark web leak site and claimed responsibility. Now, upon that discovery, basically researchers noted that 263 gigabytes of data, which included 16,920 folders and 215,245 files, were caught up in this. So we're talking patients' names, dates of birth, testing dates, relevant medical history, lab findings, social security numbers, and of course, financial information. So heads up to you if you have digestive issues and you're in Texas. Moving on. Eye care software technology company Ocuco Inc. On May 30th, they basically declared with Health and Human Services that they have an impacted breach that is 240,961 people caught up in this. Now, not much information at this time is known about the Ocuco breach, but they've notified HHS, and so here we go. So heads up to you if your optometrist, I guess, uses them. Moving on, T-Mobile. Again and again and again and again and again, because attackers just shared the wireless carrier's details on a popular data leaks forum, alleging that all 64 million lines of information was as recent as June 1, 2025. I swear to God, T-Mobile, you and Marriott, like it just, I don't even know. Now, T-Mobile responded to basically news outlets saying that the attackers uploaded this has nothing to do with the company or its clients. The company representative said, and I quote, "Any reports of a T-Mobile data breach are inaccurate. We have reviewed the sample data provided and can confirm the data does not relate to T-Mobile or our customers," end quote. Now, researchers claim that the data set sample was uploaded around 2 a.m. Eastern time on that date and contains a ton of sensitive info such as full names, dates of birth, tax IDs, full address, phone numbers, email addresses, device IDs, cookie IDs, and IP addresses. So we're going to see. T-Mobile says no, but T-Mobile, y'all been breached quite a bit. So we'll figure it out. You know I'll keep you up to date here. Moving on, let's talk about the Cumberland County Hospital, CCH. They said an unknown attacker basically got in and stole patient and employee data. We're talking names, date of birth, address, phone numbers, email addresses, ethnicities, social security numbers, medications, diagnosis, treatment notes, dates of service, medical record numbers, health plan numbers, claims, and billing records. The hospital also says that the attacker may have siphoned employee data, and so we're talking there, driver's license, birth certificates, background checks, W-4s, W-2s, and bank account numbers as well. So that's all kinds of awesome. Cumberland County Hospital. Moving on, Moreno Valley Unified School District in Southern California. The district is notifying employees via email, but they have not shared the details on the extent of their breach. The rest is behind a local reporting paywall, but if I hear anything else on Moreno Valley Unified School District, I'll let you know and check in if you're a parent, teacher, faculty, whatever. Moving on. Erie Indemnity Co. Now, they reported a network outage that affected all of their systems for 5 days, and they are continuing to say that this is a result of a security issue. They filed with the SEC on June 7th, and they identified unusual network activity, and they have an information security event. I do not know more than that, but heads up, if you are a customer of Erie Indemnity Co. for all your indemnification needs. And finally, and this is interesting, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, and I think this might be the first time I'm really talking about AI, specifically regarding data breaches. And I quote, Basically, AI is a data breach time bomb, reveals new report. That is essentially an article that was on Bleeping Computer that was sponsored and I presume written by Varonis, who actually did the homework on this. Now, here are some of the highlights from that. To quantify AI's impact on data risk, Varonis produced the State of Data Security Report quantifying AI's impact on data risk. Researchers set out to capture essentially human-to-machine risk factors such as how much sensitive data, like employee salaries, source code, etc., that basically the AI, co-pilots, and agents can access or expose with one prompt. They also looked at machine-to-machine risk. In other words, the integrity of the data being used to essentially feed and train the LLMs or large language models. Incorrect data can trigger disastrous effects. I've talked about that outside of Breaches of the Week before. So, things like manipulated clinical data could undermine the development of a breakthrough in medicine. Bad actors can silently also embed malicious code within large language models. And so Varonis analyzed data from 1,000 data risk assessments to provide empirical evidence of risk, not conclusions based on AI readiness surveys and polls. So their report, the State of Data Security Report, deep dives into essentially the data risks associated with AI, cloud environments, and some of the most popular services that we are all using. So, such as like Microsoft Office 365, Amazon Web Services, Snowflake, who, if you recall, last year had a massive data breach, Box, the file share platform, Salesforce, and on and on and on. This is what Varonis found. 99% of organizations have sensitive data that has been unnecessarily exposed to AI tools. 99%, basically everybody. 90% of sensitive cloud data, including AI training tools, is open and accessible to AI tools. 98% have unverified apps, including shadow AI, within their environments, meaning somebody goes off book and just starts using ChatGPT, even if it's against company policy. 1 in 7 are not enforcing multi-factor authentication in their cloud environments that are integrated with artificial intelligence. That's insane. 1 in 7? Really? In 2025, it just boggles my mind. 88% have ghost users lurking in their environments, and taken all together, the researchers found that no organization was fully prepared for AI in terms of security. All 1,000 organizations were at risk of a data breach as a result of the use of artificial intelligence, whether they realize it or not. So the report then outlines 3 ways organizations can protect themselves and take proactive steps to secure their data for artificial intelligence use or away from artificial intelligence use. So reduce your blast radius by proactively decreasing the damage attackers can do with a stolen identity, continuously monitor your data, automate access, governance, and posture management, and employ proactive threat detection on artificial intelligence. A lot of next-generation firewalls and threat detection systems are now looking at artificial intelligence through various application categories, so you can lock out all AI except the one you're authorized to use in your company, et cetera, et cetera. And then finally, use AI and automation. IT and security teams can harness AI and automation to remediate issues and vulnerabilities. Look at security orchestration, all that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of that, so I think that's really solid advice. And of course, right on the heels of this report from Varonis is actual reinforcement of said reporting, right? So here's what happened, and this is why I'm talking about this, because it's not just the fact that, oh, this could happen, AI is ripe for a data breach. We're going to talk about a new attack called Echo Leak. This is the first known zero-click AI vulnerability that enables an attacker to exfiltrate sensitive data from Microsoft Office 365 Copilot from a user's context without any kind of interaction. The attack was devised by AIM Lab researchers in January of this year, who then reported their findings to Microsoft, as they ethically should. And so by virtue of that, Microsoft assigned a CVE to that and basically informed the world of this flaw. They disclosed it, rating it critical, and then fixed it server-side in May, so you don't basically have to do anything. Also, Microsoft noted there's no evidence of real-world exploitation, etc., etc. So, I say all of that to say that artificial intelligence, like any piece of software that you would get, even though it's vastly more complex, is going to have vulnerabilities. It's going to have leaks. It's going to have things that may allow an attacker to bypass an authentication or prompt engineer something that basically is going to either poison the well or give it more sensitive data than it possibly should, or have it go off book. I have actual examples of this in like presentations that I do. And so understand that if you're leveraging artificial intelligence as power of a tool that can be, and outside of the hallucination and the false information it could potentially give you, it is a risk like any piece of software, and it needs to be treated as such. So I'll leave it at that. Super important. If you're using AI, more power to you, but also understand you shouldn't be feeding it sensitive data, especially if it's owned by a third party and you're using it for free, like OpenAI or Anthropic, etc. Anything you feed it, it's going to learn on, whether you're paying OpenAI $20 a month or not. So those are your breaches of the week. AI is now on the list officially. Here we go. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.